Good morning, Remy.
Good morning, Brick. Oh, look a weirdo. There we go.
Well, last week was kind of a shit show because we couldn't get our video uploaded to YouTube, but it was on the podcast. So
And it did well on the podcast. I will get it uploaded this week. I just, I had to move my
it did not work for me, folks. I'm sorry. I
I,
tried.
I had to move my entire arena and operation to another arena to have our show. So that was
Remy had a few things on her plate last week, and she did not need to deal with my technical bullshit. However, I did have to call her because I don't know, the stars were not aligning for me and YouTube last week with our StreamYard.
okay.
So
We'll get it figured out this week. I'll get it figured out. I'll get it uploaded.
So here's hoping that this week is much better. Fingers crossed.
Well, you went to a horse show this weekend too.
Yeah, we went to a couple of them. Kind of fun to see people that we haven't seen in some time. Got to catch up with a bunch of old friends. That was fun. Yeah. I didn't get shit done. However, Remy, you are not there as often as I am, but I have been struggling, and I am a hard-headed German woman, and there are certain horses that I just love to ride. And most of the time, those certain horses that I love to ride are hard for me to ride, or they're not like, do you know what I'm saying? Because I do much better on a smaller, more compact horse, but I like to ride the big ones. I've always liked to ride the big ones. I think it's because they're smoother, maybe. They're comfy for me. But my little monkey arms are not long enough to, because you have to put them in the right position, right? And it's harder for a big horse to be, like, you have to manipulate them to make it easier for them. Oh my God. And I struggle so bad. And have a lot of fights with my husband because imagine, I bet that you and James would have the same look as he does of disgust as I ride around the arena and he stands by the gate and he watches me. I can just tell that he just wants to rip me off of there. Maybe I like to do it to torture him at this point. I'm not sure.
I mean, there's a lot of horses I like to ride just because I like to ride them. I just don't compete on them.
I know. Well, I think that I'm starting to get it figured out because he gets to the point where he gets so frustrated. He cannot tell me what I'm doing wrong. He just is like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, and I'm like, I don't understand it. And finally he come to the realization. He's like, I think that the problem is that your arms aren't long enough to have your hands where they should be to help them more. And I think that he's probably right. So we're figuring that out. But so after struggling for the last week on this one horse that I just love him. And when I can get him to do the things that I want, it feels so good.
Yeah.
But I just haven't been able to do that recently. But I went and I had to get 11 rides to have my 100 rides for RSNC finals.
I'm paying
we
attention.
Went to an RSNC.
My ring light is dying. I don't know what's happening here. I'm listening.
You're all messed up this morning. Okay. So I needed my 11 rides, so that meant I had to ride quite a few classes. And I rode the Western Heritage, which I don't ride that.
That's my least favorite class of any other class in my entire life. Hunters, jumpers, cutters, cow horses. I cannot ride the Western Heritage.
You know how hard it is for women like us to keep our mouth shut? Hard.
Oh.
And Remy probably has a harder time going slower than I do.
Not even the slow, it's like the not loping when you need to. And
get there.
I asked Dave Wolf one time, I was like, so do I get to bring a flag in for this class? And he's like, no, this is about ranching. And I was like, okay. I ranch for a living and I don't work cattle out of a round pen without help or noise or movement. But cool. Tell yourself that.
Well, I will say that when I slowed it down, Remy, I felt what I was supposed to feel. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I also don't run very fast, and I say this because like I'm all about straight lines and angles, especially when I'm real heavy. And when you aren't just using speed to get through it, you do have to put your horse in the right spot all the time.
Yeah, and so like um it just clicked. Like I went in and cuz that particular horse I'm on, if you sit deep like you're a hunter, he'll just extend he'll long trot out there. You don't even have to post. You were frozen for a little bit. And so I just sat deep and kept him straight and really used my legs and my hands at the same time. And I was like, it was just like a light bulb went up in my head. Um, so I may not have gotten anything done this weekend, but I do feel like I made some progress. And it's
Take
just,
take what you can get, man.
yeah, no. And it's been like um, a super frustrating process for me because I just don't understand why I can't get it. I can't feel it. And I want to feel it and I want to get it. So I think that it might be coming together.
No, we had the flagger all weekend. I stayed trapped in between two sorting pens. Worked my arm
You were
out.
judging.
Yeah.
And it was, remind me where it was again.
It's in Norco, so it's like Horsetown, USA. It's like 45 minutes away from us. So, you know, it was good. It's a very nice covered arena. Um, the cows were very good, but challenging. So, it's just a lot. I'm tired. I have baseball. You have baseball now.
Yeah. We're not into any games though, so it's just practice. And that was a thing last night too, and I know your thoughts on this. You would be very like if you signed up for something, damn it, you're doing it, right? And not only that, you spent the money, and I feel like if you let them back out of something, then it just becomes like a pattern of knowing that they don't have to, or they can opt out of something at any time they want to. And I don't believe in that. Well, last night Bronson was, and he loves baseball, but he was like, he did not want to go to practice, Remy, because there was a kickball little game happening in town with all the town kids, and he really wanted to go to that. And so he was pretty pissed because he's like, I'm not going to baseball. I'm going to this kickball game. It's Remy today. Or is it me too, Rem?
No, it's I'm fine. I can see you the whole time. So it might be you.
I can see you the whole time too. Crazy.
Hmm. We'll just keep
Um,
talking. We'll just
yeah,
have gaps in the conversation. I'm just laughing because there's like a kickball tournament because it's Minnesota.
I know. Uh, well, we made him go. We made him go to baseball, but he was kicking and screaming the whole way there. And then once we picked him up, he was fine and glad he went. But um, I'm a pretty big believer in making them follow through with what they're set out to do.
No, it's we had a playoff game on Monday. So if we won that, then we play again on Saturday. So we won on Monday. And then Kyle played yesterday, won his playoff game. So I have two playoff games on Saturday. And I got in a little bit of trouble for too aggressively coaching third base in the one playoff game.
That is shocking, Remy.
Look, I understand that these are kids and we want them to feel good, but this is also the playoffs. So if I have runners that can run, they are running. They are not holding up at third. So the coach, and he's like, he's awesome. And he comes up and he like puts his arm around my shoulder. And he's like, Remy, if they have control of the ball in the field, not in the outfield, we don't send runners. And I was like, okay. I said, well, the first two runners, which were Braden and Trent, they didn't have control of the ball. I go, so I'll give you the last one on Ryder when I send him, but they didn't throw it into the pitcher. Like I sent him home. So I was less aggressive.
Did you
And
win?
Oh, dude, I was less aggressive and we still won, and they didn't score any runs, and we continued to score runs. So it wasn't just my sending runners
That a
that,
girl.
yeah, we're here to win. Oh my. Okay, so Braden plays first base because he's a lefty, and there's a really hard ball hit to shortstop. It gets thrown to him, and he has to reach for it, like lay out, and reach for it. And I can see his foot is still on the bag. So the umpire walks over to check the bag, and Braden does like the full, like professional reveal, like he does a push-up like this, so you can see that his foot is still on the bag behind him, and like backs up and stands up. And I was like, oh, that's fantastic. It was awesome. I was like, way to play that one out.
Didn't Braden have a birthday this weekend? Was it Braden?
Did. He turned 9 on Sunday. And, in typical producer fashion, we always have a horse show. We always have a horse show on his birthday. I feel bad for that kid. So we did a pizza party and sat by the fire with some friends Sunday after we got home. So,
I suck at birthday parties, Remy. I mean, I'm not good at it. And I feel like if you set the expectations low when they're little, they are just happy for anything.
no, he was pretty good. He's like, you don't have to, because I was like, oh, we'll try and have another party next week. He's like, we don't have to have another party. But he's usually the one that wants he wants the party.
He wants the fanfare.
Yeah, but he did go to a birthday party all day Saturday. That was not his birthday. Speaking of different types of raising children, like my girlfriend's a barrel racer, and her kids are like ranch kids, but she goes, hey, can I come to the party? He really wants him to come. And she lives like 2 blocks away from me. I go, yeah, but I have to leave really early, and she had a barrel racing to go to. I said, I'll just let him sleep in, and I'll have him call me when they get up. And then you can, if you're back from the race, you can pick him up. And if not, her dad would come pick him up. She's like, okay, great. So she calls me around like 10:30, and I just talked to the boys. I was like, oh, I was just going to call you. I was like, but I just called him back, and they're not answering their phones. And she's like, do you need someone to go check on him? I was like, I'll just get him when you swing by the house. She was just like, you left them there alone. I was like, they're sleeping there.
It's fine.
But they were at that birthday party for like 11 hours. So I think he was maybe a little partied out by Sunday.
Tired. You know what is funny, Remy? Laundry must be a big thing, obviously, because we have a bunch of moms listening with our viewers, because my whole laundry debacle brought up a lot of conversations with people who watch us. And I think it's hilarious. I just giving everybody an update quick on my laundry situation. I am about caught up. The $100 washer from the garage sale is amazing. Best $100 I've ever spent. Probably never going to buy a new washer after this again. Don't do it, folks. Don't buy the $1,500 washer. It's a waste of money. Find yourself a garage sale and get after it.
Okay.
So, my little PSA for the morning.
For those that weren't privy to our other conversation, both Stacey Howard and I told her to take her laundry to a fluff and fold, and she said she was too cheap. And I said, for $200, if they did all of your laundry and folded it, wouldn't it be worth it? Because I would pay a laundress to come in and do all my laundry.
So. I have been feeling extremely domesticated lately, Remy. I'm doing a pretty good job of staying on top of that laundry.
It's because you don't want to go outside and move shavings and fill water buckets. So you're gonna.
No, I've been doing that too. I have been doing that too. I've been hustling. Yeah, and I've been cooking. Oh, and yesterday I had my yearly physical. Well, it's not even a yearly physical anymore because they only require them every 5 years.
Yeah. They want to make sure that when cancer hits you, it's got plenty of time to grow.
Well, I had one in 2020, so I was a little early, but I would rather be early than.
Yeah.
I'd rather stay on top of it. But they didn't do blood work this time, and in 2020 they did, and she talked to me about that. This time, I mean, it's 2023, and now we're having this conversation that my cholesterol was high then. Have you had your cholesterol checked?
Baked casserole, yes. I've had like everything checked, so. I have low blood
Whoa,
pressure. See, I have low blood pressure. I have low cholesterol.
that thing is wrong. They're telling you the wrong information if it says you have low blood pressure.
I don't. I like even when I was pregnant, I was like 60 over 80. I have like it's also a problem. It's not like a great thing to have low blood pressure. It is also a problem.
Maybe that's why you don't get whipped up. I don't know. Or
Yeah.
do you? I don't know.
I mean, yeah. It just doesn't last very long. No, but I did. So I had some good conversation this weekend again, and so that's what we're going to talk about today is revisiting a topic that we've talked about a couple times, right? What do you do when you don't feel like yourself anymore?
They
And
say it takes 3 times before you actually understand something.
so we're gonna revisit it, and from a different headspace this time than the first time.
Remy, hang on a second. I'm going to check this internet. The internet gods hate me in Minnesota. So bear with me.
Maybe they hate Minnesota. I'm still here, looking good. Today's episode is brought to you by Bones Coffee. I'm currently drinking strawberry cheesecake. If you would like some Bones Coffee, go to bonescoffee.com. Use code Cowgirls at checkout for a discount. And Breck's face is frozen. I thought she was just looking at me very strangely.
I'm back. I'm back. Ah, gosh, the internet is so awful here. Okay, I knew
You
it was going to
missed.
be a big morning. So
I just did an ad for Bones Coffee while you were gone, and you missed it.
Baby.
And then your face came back and it froze, and I thought it was just you giving me a look of disgust because I told our viewers that I'm currently drinking strawberry cheesecake, and it's amazing.
that
What's
does not sound
coffee?
good.
Like coffee strawberry cheesecake. It's so
Oh, they
good.
even give you a cup. My mother-in-law gave me this one for Mother's Day.
Nice.
Boss lady. And then when you drink it down, I can't remember what it says at the bottom. But,
Says so.
it says something. Yeah, so let's dive in.
All right. So it's not just me. I mean, I'm feeling that way too. But there's a lot of people at different stages in their life that feel like they're in a funk. I think we've all felt a little bit like we're in a funk post-COVID.
Do you feel like it could potentially be the time of year? Because I have been a freaking bear cat to be around. I'm kind of mean right now. Not sure why.
I wish I had enough energy to be mean right now.
I'm mean to my children. I wish that I wouldn't be as mean as I am, but god damn it, I can't
Yeah,
help it.
I think like we're all overstimulated. My kids are overstimulated. It's the last week of school. So like yesterday, no, 2 nights ago, I was trying to do billing and they were asking me for something. I was like, it never stops. And James is like, take a deep breath. But
I know, but it's really hard to. And I kind of wonder if it is not the time of year because I feel, and maybe I say that about every freaking season. I don't know, but I do feel like I felt the same way last year. I don't know.
I don't know. This is usually the good time for me. So, I deal with seasonal depression when it's rainy. Although last year wasn't really rainy, this year's been rainy. And I think it's just like I get overstimulated, right? There's too many people asking me too many questions that want too many things, and I just want it to be quiet. And so yeah, but I'm not the only one that's that. I'm not the only one, and I think part of it is we have a lot of stuff going on. Like I said, it's the end of school, so there's just a lot of energy, and you don't realize how much you're picking up all the anxiety, all the frustration, all the excitement until your
I
clothes
think
feel
that's for me is more for me is the running list of stuff in my head that has to be taken care of that I cannot shut off. And I am the person who, if I'm going to mulch around my house, I want that done before I do anything else. that has to be done, and I will kill myself to get that done. And then
I'm only laughing because of her and her husband's conversation last night while I was on the phone.
you have no idea, actually. Oh. But in my head, that is how things work. Like if I'm going to ride 6 horses, I know the exact order that the horses are going to be rode in, and I will not do anything else until those 6 horses are rode. And I'm really crazy about my barn being in order at night. Like I won't go to the house until the barn is exactly how I like it. I think it's making me kind of crazy, to be quite honest with you. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I did all day Monday. We cleaned the house because I'd finally had enough. Because I mean, it still doesn't look like it's clean, but it was really a shit show.
Same,
Like
same.
I was like, yeah, we need to clean the house, and like I wanted to do nothing else except for lay down. But you know, like I I've been in a funk for a while. I was talking to one of my girlfriends. Like she and I don't talk. Like she and I talk a lot, but not all the time, especially when we're both busy. She would call because I like, and usually it's like one of us calls one day, and then the next one calls a day or two later. And I hadn't called her. I hadn't answered, and I finally got a text message. It's like, pick up your fucking phone. I was like, hello.
I need to talk.
And she didn't even need to talk. She was like, you haven't answered, which is not normal for you. I don't care how busy you are.
But I've noticed that about you too. I know when because we usually talk all the time. Both of us have been busy as well, so there's that. But
yeah, but that's what she said. She's like, she goes, I brushed it off as busy for a while. She's like, it's not busy. And so I told her, I said, I don't have any energy. Like, I don't have energy to talk to people right now. And, you know, I know that I'm dealing with that. But again, it's not just me. And I don't know if it is just like, I think everyone's kind of been in a funk. Like I said, post COVID, right? We shut down and then we started back up, but it's not like it, you know, we didn't just
no,
erase.
it is not like it used to be. It will never be like it used to be.
And like I noticed it with traffic. Like James calls it the COVID traffic problem, right? People like with road rage are way worse post COVID than before. Like there's no patience to get anywhere. And so, you know, you're trying to practice like love and light and being kind, and people are fucking assholes, and you're just like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah, I think that I think that there is something to be said about the post-COVID thing. Um, because COVID, we learned the majority of us learned to live with less. We learned to, um, we learned to stay home. And
yeah.
now nobody wants to go anywhere. I don't want to go anywhere.
Well, then we learned that things could be delivered. Like, I mean, not that we didn't know things could be delivered, right? But people like want immediate
Yes.
response. And we've talked about this too, right? It's like the whole text messaging and messaging people and doing all this. Like people want this immediate reaction where you used to have 24 to 48 hours to answer people. And now if you don't answer immediately, then you don't like them and it's got nothing to do with them most of the time. Half the time I'm busy. Like I clear my text messages once a week and I still get like I'll still have a notification today for 603 text messages. Like that's how many text messages I get. And again, like for me right now, that's overwhelming. I don't want to answer them. I don't want to be asked questions. I don't want to do anything. I feel like I'm in survival mode. And again, I'm not the only one that feels like that.
No, I definitely don't think that you are the only one who feels like that. I feel like that the way you and I feel is right now is different, but we both would feel wonky, just off.
Yeah.
And I know that we're not the only ones who feel off right now in this season. I do think that you could be somewhat right about the post COVID thing in our irritation levels, like with our irritation levels. I don't want to people in big crowds anymore. I mean,
COVID was great for me for that because I was like, yes, I want you to all stay away from me. I want you all 6 feet away from me at all times.
Say that again.
Like COVID, like I loved it in the markets, right? Stay 6 feet away. Perfect. I didn't want you closer than that to me in a market anyway.
I know. Think about all of the things. I mean, my ordering online has increased tenfold since COVID. I don't want to shop. I do not want to go into the grocery store anymore. Yeah, I don't know.
And it's but I do. I'm like in a giant funk and I'm trying to find my way out of it, but it's kind of working. I
It's
told James, I told James the other day, because like I almost always wear button down shirts, right? And I've been wearing t-shirts and sweatshirts, but I usually wear a button down shirt and a sweatshirt over it if it's cold. And I've been wearing t-shirts, and I can say it's because I knew I wasn't gonna take my sweatshirt off, but it's not, right? Because there's nothing wrong with wearing t-shirts. I just always wear button downs. And I told him the other day, because I think I rode like 22 horses that day. And I told him, I was like, I finally felt like a horse trainer again today. And he kind of looked at me and I was like, honestly, I was like, I like put it in my head, like, you're going to get up, you're going to put on the long sleeve shirt, you're going to put on the hat, you're going to put on the glasses, you're going to go out there and go to work. And I did. I felt better. Like I knew, like, it's like, I felt like I'm drowning lately, right? I'm drowning, but I couldn't see the surface. And at least the day that I dressed like a horse trainer, I could see the surface. I felt better, which sounds very dumb that
no, it
what
doesn't.
you
No, it
like
doesn't.
that what I wore that day made me, but it's like, oh, I recognize these parts of myself again. And I can get there. I'm just gonna keep faking it until I make it. But now I don't feel like I'm drowning in the deep abyss. I'm almost back to the surface. And like I said, I had a conversation with a friend this weekend, and she was like, she's like, I used to be really good, and I don't feel like that anymore. And I said, no, but you were in a relationship and then had some other things happen that took away all your confidence, and it's bled back into your writing. You know how to do all the things, but you don't have any confidence that you can do them. And by the end of the weekend, she was writing awesome, like more than flashes of her old self, hauling ass places, penning really strong. And it was good for her. It was also good for her to be in an environment where, nobody cared about what happened to her for the last 2 years. And I don't mean that in a bad way, right? There was no baggage attached to it. They were just happy to have her there.
Yeah, nobody was asking questions or, yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
And Breck's anxious because she doesn't have automatic waters because, it freezes in Minnesota.
I know. Uh, it's all good. It just takes a little bit more work to be back here.
Yeah, and I think that's like again, I've talked about it a lot, right? So then there's guilt that goes along with my depression. My life is good. My husband is good. My family is good. So why are you not happy? I don't know. Something wrong. And then, we just work harder. Put your head down. Go to work. It'll feel better. But at some point, like, that's what James said. He goes, when is enough for us? Like, how much more do you want to take on? And I'm like, I got to fill in all the space I can. I don't want to stop.
Yeah, I think to when you deal, I do think that if you have anxiety or if you have depression, the fuller your plate, the easier it is to deal because you have to keep moving, right? And it's the silence and the sitting that makes it worse. So I do understand that a lot.
Yeah, because, I think it would probably make it better in the long run, but it's super uncomfortable. So right now I'm not strong enough to deal with the uncomfortableness. So I'm just going to keep working and doing things. The other thing too is, again, right, nobody cares. Like, and I don't mean that in a negative thing, because nobody cares, because everyone's dealing with their own shit. You have no idea. And I think that's the hard part for me with from the outside, like when you see someone being mean or thinking that, or not, when someone thinks someone is mean because they didn't get the reaction they wanted, right? They didn't get the text message back, they didn't get the phone call back, they didn't comment on their Facebook post, whatever. You have no idea what people are dealing with. So we need to all have a little bit more grace and forgiveness for people. And again, I think that's post-COVID too, right? For a minute, we were all kind of nice. And then I think it like swung back so far the opposite way. Like I've seen more hateful things on social media lately than I've seen in a long time. Just
like people posting things, like
yeah,
mean things,
like mean comments, like
real things.
yeah, like it took you time to write that out. Like you didn't, and like some of them will be like really long. I'm like, that wasn't even quick. Like you took the time to type it out on your phone.
I've been on Facebook a lot lately, but only for Facebook Marketplace. I'm like obsessed. I'm not gonna lie. Um, it's like an online garage sale.
Yeah, you should do like a thrifting video.
I'm thinking about it.
This is what I found today.
I know. So I don't pay much attention to them. I do think that when I look at the other women around me and I think about myself right now, and we talk about this a lot, and it feels like um the perfection thing, maybe that is what's making us crazy right now, is because we're striving for our so-called perfection in our world and how everything looks. I mean, I know that graduations are coming up right now. There's a lot of, well, in Minnesota, you have to take advantage of the nice weather. There's only 3 months of it. So people are trying to get their yards in order, and it takes a lot of work around here, folks. Got to kill weeds, mosquitoes, freaking mulch. It's everything. But you kill yourself for that thought of perfection every damn day. And I think that the perfection looks different for all of us, but we want the perfect yards, or we want the perfect barns, we want the horses to look nice. Oh my God. One thing that I thought I was going to get my ass chewed for. So I am obsessed with tails too. I like to take care of my tails. And the fucking bugs are so bad here, Remy. So I washed all my tails last week and I put them all up in tail bags, which I use socks. Yeah.
But do you leave
Thought
the
I was gonna have to
streamers out
cut
the
their damn tails out because they were a mess just from 3 days of swatting flies.
Did you
Rem?
cut them out?
No, I did not cut them out. Didn't want to panic. I didn't want to panic because Brandon walked past one and he picked up his tail and he's like, "This needs to come out now." And I'm like, "Don't even try it. I will do it." And then I was kind of panicking because I'm like, "Oh my God. They're so ratted up and a mess." So I'm just thinking that the tails are going to just be.
Yeah, put Rainer's knots in them.
I don't know. I'm kind of nervous because I don't know if you understand the level of bugs we have around
Well, that's why
here.
you got to put the Rainer's knots. You do all the figure eights and you wrap them in vet wrap, and then your tails are short, and then they can still whip about. I also know what that's like because I turned James's rope horse and my good old mare out with the tail sock on like 4 months ago.
Rip the tail out.
No, it was a rat's nest. So I like spent 3 days I cut the sock out. I didn't cut the tail. And I I washed it the first day. Like I dunked it in a bucket to wash it.
It was just a mess, matted mess.
And then I dunked it in conditioner the next day. And then the third day I put leave-in conditioner. And then the fourth day, it was pretty good.
I'm obsessed. Well, I really I'm weird about this too. I like the detanglers and I use a lot of Cowboy Magic, but the best one for me by far is I always say the wrong name, Ultra Cruise.
Yeah.
Is it Ultra Cruise or Santa Cruz?
Ultra Cruz. Santa Cruz is the parent company. Ultra Cruz is the
The
It's
products,
like
brand products. Yeah, so the Ultra Cruise one makes an awesome detangler, and it's heavy. Where the
it's not sticky.
no,
Ultra Cruise is fantastic. It's fantastic. That's all we use is Ultra Cruise, except
it's
for
amazing.
I also use. Have you used the pink stuff? It's the concentrate.
Healthy hair,
No, it's called the pink stuff.
and it's
Maybe
a
it is.
concentrate, and you mix it with water.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it smells really good.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
it's
the
like equivalent to healthy hair.
So the other thing you can do is buy coconut milk products and use them. And of course, she probably good. Use them because I had a bear whose hair like always got the fairy knots in it, and if I did that, her mane stayed straight and never knotted up.
I was worried for my life for at least 5 minutes over the tail ordeal. So yeah, maybe I'll have to do the rain or not thing because
Yeah, if you have bugs, see, I like sock tail season for me is the fall. Like once the bugs are
those are
gone.
my horses in the barn. I mean, and the barn's not even that bad, but the flies and
Yeah, it's but I stop about the time the flies come out because it doesn't matter how tightly you braid them or
it
anything.
doesn't.
And then if you have to redo it every 2 or 3 days, you've already defeated the purpose of having it up in a tailback.
Yeah, because you're brushing your tails so much it pulls the hair out. I don't like that
That's
either.
why I like the Rainer's knots
Oh, the things we go through.
to have fancy looking tails. And what kills me is like I'll get a horse's tail looking really good, and then their owner always leaves it in a braid at a horse show, and I'm like, I did so much work. Just let it down and be pretty, and let everyone see how fancy it looks.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I know I'm not the only one that's in a funk right now. I know that everyone's struggling at some point, and I think that people just, I think too, when you've looked like you haven't struggled for a long time, people like to just push you to see how much more you can struggle.
I feel like I feel like life is a struggle every day in some aspects or points, and I do think that I've probably got to get a little bit more mentally tough and start counting even the littlest blessings on a daily basis instead of worrying constantly about the things that did not get done and um
And that's
all
like
of
that
the
whole negative positive mindset, right? Like we were on our way to Norco, and the lady that manages the arena texted me. She's like, don't forget, we have a barrel racing tomorrow in the main arena. And we were supposed to start our RSNC in the main arena. And I'm like, come again? She goes, oh, you can just set up in the other arena and then move. And I was like, we're setting up side by side sorting pens. So I messaged her back. I said, so are the cattle pens in the other arena? She goes, no, you can just jog them across the road. And I was like, okay.
no, we're not doing that.
I get that you don't understand what we're doing. So we get there and it's like, oh, there isn't a barrel racing tomorrow. There's a barrel racing tonight, which we did know about. And I was like, oh, I'll set up afterwards. She goes, no, you can't. You have to set up first thing in the morning. I was like, no, it'd be really nice, but no, like this takes us a while. We banner everything up. So we wait till after the barrel racing's done. Thankfully, Stacy and Robin were there, so they helped us. It wasn't just me and James, but we set up, 2 sorting pens, put banners on everything. Because if you've been to our show, James loves to banner up everything. So we banners wrapped all the way around. And then the next morning, their ground crew's there, and they're like, oh, yeah, you wouldn't be able to set this up this morning. Like, oh, you can come in at 7 and set up. And I was like, ha ha ha. Like, no. And we needed to put up these like 12-foot WW bow gates, like the really heavy ones. And they're like, oh, we stacked them for you. Well, they stacked them on the outside of the arena. So it's like It's like a full rodeo arena, like bucking chutes and then alleys and then cattle pens, and then they stacked the WWs on the outside. So I'm like, well, maybe we can walk them. And James looks at me, he's like, Remy, those panels are too heavy. And they are really heavy, even for me. And I never say panels are heavy, but they're fucking heavy. And so we had to like lay them back and like jump them up onto the side of the stock trailer and tie them on to drive just around into the arena. And I was like, and he goes, don't stand anywhere near the trailers. Like, and if they fall off, we're just gonna drag them off the side of the trailer. They didn't, but they were heavy. It was a lot of work.
Thankfully.
But it's the same thing, right? Like, should I bitch about it? No, I shouldn't, because we still had a decent show. It wasn't great. If it was at the house, it would have been fantastic. But, you know, people came and supported us. I should be happy about that. But, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you need to remind yourself of it. And
Oh, I know where I was going with that, right? So the lady texted me, this is before we got it all figured out. And I called James and I'm like, I fucking hate my life. I hate doing that. Like, all this stuff. He goes, you don't
why
hate
are we doing this?
He's like, you don't hate your life. You're just upset. And he's like, and see, before James would have freaked out, right? Like, how do we not know all this, blah, blah. And he was just like, we'll get through it. We'll get through it. It's fine. Everything's fine. So that was good for me, because usually I'm the one that's like, oh my God. That's the end. I mean, I used to not be the one that thought it was the end of the world, but apparently lately I am. I just have a short fuse lately too. I'm not as nice to my kids as I should be either.
Oh, I know.
But if they would just fucking listen.
I know. If they would just do what I want them to do.
It's like we're cleaning up, we're cleaning the house, right? And like my new, like, and I've done this like for the last couple months. I'm like, I won't do your laundry if it's inside out. Won't do it. And I always cave in and I do it. So the other day, so we're sorting laundry, right? Because they're going to help me sort laundry. We're sorting laundry. And I made each of them disappeared. I'm back. I made each of them go through their piles and fix their socks. And they're like, oh, this is so much work. And I looked at them, I was like, isn't it? Isn't it so much work? I was like, and if you would just do it when you took it off, you wouldn't have 14 pairs of socks to do. I was like, and it adds so much to my time that I already don't have enough time for. So if anyone wants to give me lottery money, I will be a stay-at-home mom and not yell at my kids about.
Yeah, right. Yesterday I was riding, and as I'm riding, I'm like going through the mental checklist of like all of the shit I had yet to do. And it was 4:00. Well, we feed at 5 every single night. That is the time. I don't waver from that very often. And Bronson had to be to baseball at 6:30. And it takes me a good hour to feed. So I'm riding. It's damn near 5:00. I'm going through this list in my head of the things that needed to be done yet. And Bronson was driving around on his little pit bike. Remy, I thought I was going to Superman off my horse, run across the yard, rip him off that freaking dirt bike, and beat him within an inch of his life. I thought about it. I settled for screaming like a freaking crazy lunatic woman at the top of my lungs so all the neighbors can hear what's going on at my house, and threatening him with an inch of his life. And the things that I needed done did get done. They can piss me off. I'm like,
well, so it's like, so they help me get the laundry sorted. Then we're putting other stuff away. And one of them comes in, he's like, I got all the eggs out of the chicken coop. I was like, that was not on the list for today. You had a bunch of tasks and that wasn't one of them.
I know what? I know exactly what you're talking about.
Because they will, like, it's not even like they don't do anything. They just don't do any of the things you've asked them to do.
I know.
And then, so we had Braden's birthday party on Sunday night. And like, I'm not a bit like, look, my house is a shit show. I don't want to be the mean mom. I don't want to be like the place where you don't want to go, right? But I kind of have two.
I don't either, but I end up there. Damn it.
I have like two, not even hard rules. The first rule, hard and fast. If you walk through a door outside, you fucking shut it. Still angry. Second one is don't wear shoes in my house. And you don't wear shoes in my house because we live in the middle of a ranch. So it already gets dirty enough. You don't need to like help it get dirty.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't my kids because it was one of my kids, but not the rest of them most of the time. It was all the other kids, right? Shut the door. Okay. And then they'd walk out and leave it like not a little bit open. And now because it's been a damp year, we got a lot of flies. We don't really have mosquitoes right now, but we have a lot of flies. Leave my slider wide open.
In the
like
house.
Shut the door. Yeah. Shut the door. And I finally sounded fucking crazy. I'm like, shut the fucking door. And so I'm at a birthday party with, granted, all my friends.
Uh-oh, Remy's gone away. Is it Remy or is it me?
I'm coming back. There we go. Hold on.
Oh, there you are.
I don't know. I just turned my Wi-Fi off to see,
Oh, if that's something. Remy, I mean, that makes my heart so full to know that I'm not the only
I'm like, shut the fucking door. So then my girlfriend Sarah's here, and another kid walks right. I mean, literally 10 seconds after I leave that door, she's like, shut the fucking door. And I was like, thank God it's not just me. And she's like, we will be redneck crazy together. And I was like, how is that redneck? I don't want fucking flies in my house. It's like the opposite of redneck. I just don't want flies in my goddamn house. And it's such an easy solution. Don't leave my doors open.
We have mayflies. Do you know what a mayfly is?
Yes, that's gross too. And midges also, yeah.
So it's like mayfly season, and because we live on the lake and there's lakes all around us, the mayflies are freaking everywhere. So the other night, I came in the house, pull back the shower curtain. There was 1,000 mayflies in my freaking shower. I had to get the shot back out and to take them bastards down because they were everywhere, like everywhere. I wasn't getting naked and getting in there with them. So I had to use the shot vac. But it's because they don't freaking get my front door closed all the way. And then they're attracted to light.
Was the other thing, like the boys kept going in the house and turning all the lights on. And I was like, we are all outside with lights on outside. Like, why? So yes,
the light thing is my pet peeve. Like
that was a shining moment for me in parenting. I also didn't know that pincher bugs flew until last weekend.
Well,
I didn't know that until one flew into my hair at a baseball game. I was like, the fuck is this? But yeah.
We were in Menards 2 days ago, Remy. My shining parent moment. I have 2 boys who are feral at best. And they're running the carts into we only had one cart. They were running the cart into Bodie was running the cart into Bronson. Now Bodie towers above me. He's a big kid. You have to slap him around, otherwise he will not respect me for much longer. And I had freaking enough of it. We looked like rednecks going down the alleyway the aisleway alleyway. And I was like, last nerve, I told you I've been a bear. And they were kind of behind, like off to the side of me. And I fucking was done. And I just wound up and freaking turned around and whapped him right across the side of the face, open palm, everything. And I felt better after I did it. And I looked up and there was 2 workers looking at me. I'm like, alrighty then, on to the next aisle. It was settled after that though. Like, I didn't have any more issues. He just needed a reminder, like, you might be bigger than me, but I still am in charge.
So we were that reminds me, like, right, because people be like, oh, you should try this. You fucking deal with them. But James one time, like when he was younger, was at US finals, and it was a long time ago because it was in Wichita Falls. And he had this bay horse that would rear every once in a while, like for no reason. Like, and he was really good 90% of the time. So
But
he
the
did
other
some,
10.
yeah, other 10, like, and he was like double or triple dock bar bred. Like, granted, it was an older horse, but like, still. And so he's stubborn. And so I guess in the pen, like, horse did something. So James takes his rein and whips him between the ears. And James is like 12 years old at the time. So Dick Gerard, who's now like a Hall of Famer, comes up to James like in the barn and he goes, "Son, you can't do that to your horse." And he looks at him and goes, "You ride this motherfucker." That's what I love when people are like, "You should be kinder to your children. You fucking deal with them. Let's swap."
Let's swap.
I'm thankful that like my kids don't tend to be assholes at the same time, right? It's usually
They all
one.
take their turn, Remy.
Yeah, it's usually one, and then the other three are like, "I would never do anything like that to you, mother.
Oh.
Look how good I am." And you're like, I know what you're capable of. We did not take the boys to school on Monday because it's the last week of school and it's just like parties.
We went to Disney.
No, that was 2 weeks ago. We went to Disney.
Oh,
This we
God.
also didn't go on this Monday, but it was like Kyle had a pool party at school. Can't remember what Braden's day was, but they were doing parties, right? And then so we cleaned the house. And that afternoon, was that just yes? No, Monday afternoon we had the baseball game. And like Kyle was full of it. And that's usually my best one. And I was like, "You are never not going to school." And James was like, "Well, we got a week left to fix that." And I was like, "I'll find another school to send him to." Like, I don't
Summer
care.
school it is.
I was like, "Because if you're gonna be an asshole, I'm gonna send you somewhere else." I don't know.
Well, ladies, it is just not easy raising these kids. And I think that, well, I know that we're not alone in our boats. I know that we cannot be the only ones who are acting a little bearish lately.
I like found a new depth of crazy that I didn't know I had. And like, I was pretty sure that I knew how crazy
I
I
thought
was.
I was there. Turns out I wasn't.
You know, and I think, you know, so my takeaway from today is keep faking it till you make it.
Well, my takeaway is that it just makes me feel so much better knowing that there's other moms out there who just they're as crazy as I am.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't started baseball yet. You'll meet plenty of them.
No, you know, but most of them aren't as open as you and I. Like most of them wouldn't divulge the things that you and I divulge on to the world. But
Yeah,
I mean, when you have enough, and it's got to end.
Yeah, and like, you know, I always love the meme that comes up and it's like gentle parenting is for gentle children. I'm like 100%. Because I could probably gentle parent maybe 2 of mine. But the other 2, no fucking way. So.
Oh God. Alrighty, Rem. Well, good talk today. Next week we'll see you.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
And I'm working on a guest, but she's being evasive. She's an introvert, but I'm still trying to guilt her into coming on.
Pull her in.
I'm trying.
All right. Until next time, Remy, be bold.
Be brave.
And be humble. We'll see you next week, ladies. Bye.